What's the one thing that everybody wants in this world? Do more in less time. And the new Smart de-ess by Sonible does exactly that for you. Mixers are going to be super excited to find out about all the features of this new AI-driven plugin. Let's dive right into it. So first, what's a de-esser? It's an audio compressor that applies gain reduction to a specific part of the frequency spectrum. Traditionally, it's been used to tame harshness in vocals, but mixers could use it on a two-bus, on hats, on a drum bus. You can use it basically anywhere. But Smart de-ess is tailored specifically for vocals. So what makes Smart de-ess so amazing compared to all the other de-essers out there? Well, first, you don't have to guess where the harsh frequency is. With the click of a button, the AI will take care of that for you. And not only it's going to take care of the sibilant sounds like sh, f, it's also going to take care separately of the plosives, so meaning like the b, p, the poky sounds usually located in the lower frequency spectrum. So it does two jobs at once in a click of one button. The other reason why Smart de-ess is so cool is that even after heavy processing and high gain reduction, you will still get natural sounding vocals without this weird lispy sound that you get sometimes from conventional de-essers. So first, let's check out all the plugins features before we do a little test drive. So the one nice thing is you can first resize it to the size you want to work with. The first thing you're going to do is here, click on the green arrow. And this will let the AI scan your source and adapt accordingly. And also, it's going to be built in two different sections. So everything you see in green here, it's the sibilant portion of the sound. And everything you see in blue here is the plosives. So it's going to reflect also in this section here, in the right upper section. And it's going to be here, the gain reduction being applied for the sibilant portion of the sound on the left side here, and for the plosives there. And here's the maximum amount of gain reductions you are letting the plugin do its job. And finally here, the dB output. You can operate this plugin in two different modes. The first one is full range, is the default mode. This one takes care of the entire frequency spectrum. Or you can go in split band, so that way it gives you a bit more options in how far you want the plosives and the sibilants to be handled basically. So it can even go over in the frequency spectrum. So all that you see here in blue is plosives. All that you see in green is going to be the sibilant portion of the sound. So as you can see, you can even go higher here. Okay, but let's go back to default mode. So let's start here on the left section with the sibilant portion of the algorithm. Here is for gain reduction, so how far you're pushing the engine. And as you can see here, the amount is reflected in the graph right up here. Okay, and then here is for color. So this will re-inject some frequency content post-processing. So it's very nice because, for example, depending on your source material, it can really bring back some clarity in your vocals. So you can use different settings and it will really drastically change the result. And then the shaping setting here, the harder you push the setting, the more precise it's going to dig in the frequency spectrum. So if you push it all the way left, you're going to see the response is pretty flat. Okay, so this is very cool also to tweak how the de-esser is working, not only how much, but how in the frequency spectrum it's working. The second section here is plosives. So as I said, everything you see in blue here, it's plosive sounds being captured by the AI. This time we don't have the color setting, but we have suppression and shaping. So it works the same as in the sibilant section. So here the last setting, it's basically the release. So if you select fast, it's going to process and let go pretty fast. So you can see it affects here the blue and green grooves. You can see as I change here the setting, it changes sort of the envelope of the signal. So finally here is the maximum amount of gain reduction. Then here you have your mix level in case you want to use this plugin in parallel. You don't have to use it 100% wet. You can drop it to 50 if you feel like. This way you're going to keep the impact of the original signal. And finally the makeup gain on the right side. All the way up here you find 8 different slots, so you can basically compare different settings. Obviously if you look for another slot here, you're going to have to reanalyze your signal and then you can compare to see which one you prefer. So let's see the plugin in action. I simply play the source material and let the plugin analyze.
All hails to thy unbounded rage, for there is no longer like light to hold against. In gloominess we enter paths of our lives, and so we leave in shades of world's demise.
If you want to really hear what's going on, what's the plugin doing, you simply click here in difference. So basically it's the delta. It's going to show you what is the plugin doing to your source material. In this case, it's not doing as much as in other tracks that I have here because it didn't need it as much. So let's just hear quickly. So we see here there's a lot of blue stuff, basically plosives. So it's controlling that, and it will help me in the long run to mix because it's going to handle all these poky sounds in the low end that can trigger a compressor. But here I prepared some settings specifically for that track. Let's see how it sounds like when you tweak it just a little bit. So here I lowered the suppression a little bit, increased shaping. The algorithm for color I use sharp, plosives 29, shaping 119. Again, it's digging a bit more precisely in the frequency spectrum. Let's hear how it sounds like.
All hails to thy unbounded rage, for there is no longer light to hold against. In gloominess we enter paths of our lives, and so we leave in shades of world's demise.
Bypassed.
All hails to thy unbounded rage, for there is no longer light to hold against. In gloominess we enter paths of our lives, and so we leave in shades of world's demise.
So here note that the mix setting is not at 100, so only 69% of the signal is being processed. Also the sharp setting here is really helping to give back a little bit. Now let's check Smart de-ess in a softer sounding vocal.
Looking beyond the embers of bridges glowing behind us, to a glimpse of how green it was on the other side. Steps taken.
Okay. So you can see there's a lot more suppression here, especially in the sibilant sounds.
Going behind us.
Let's tweak it.
To a glimpse of how green it was on the other side. Steps taken forwards, but sleepwalking back again. Looking beyond the embers of bridges glowing behind us, to a glimpse of how green it was on the other side. Steps taken forwards, but sleepwalking back again. Looking beyond the embers.
You see, there's a lot of difference according to the color you're choosing here. So in this case, I think that balance sounds a little bit better.
Looking beyond the embers of bridges glowing behind us.
So here again, it's only to hear what it is doing in terms of sibilant sounds. Let's check the plosives now.
Forwards, but sleepwalking back again. Looking beyond the embers.
You see, since it's a bit quieter, you're not going to have as many poky sounds as in the first track that we checked together.
Steps taken forwards, but sleepwalking back again. Looking beyond the embers of bridges glowing behind us.
Let's try and bypass.
To a glimpse of how green it was on the other side.
So it's pretty clear the difference.
Steps taken forwards, but sleepwalking back again. Looking beyond the embers of bridges glowing behind us. To a glimpse of how green it was on the other side.
It's a drastic difference, so it's so amazing. It saves so much time, and it's not a thing about EQing or compression. It does this type of polish. It's gonna leave you a lot of flexibility in your mixing chain after that, because a lot of things will be corrected at the source. So that's why it's pretty cool to insert it as your first insert in your chain. Now let's check Smart de-ess with edgy vocals.
Binding their wrists, financiers of the flesh, burster than assaulted and given no rest. Way to make a break, it's so big.
Difference. Okay.
Their wrists, financiers of the flesh.
Let's narrow down on sibilant sounds. This is all the correction it's applying on sibilant sounds.
Break, it's so big.
And all the correction on plosives. So for the sibilant sound here, I lower the suppression a little bit and increase a little bit the shaping. And maybe check here the color, how I want to re-inject high frequency content in my source material.
Binding their wrists, financiers of the flesh, burster than assaulted and given no rest. Way to make a break, it's so bay or exclude, degraded over nothing. Binding their wrists, financiers of the flesh, burster than assaulted and given no rest. Way to make a break, it's so bay or.
So in this case, Smart de-ess removes some of the harsh frequency content, but using the sharp color, it's pretty nice. It brings it back in a controlled way, something you could not do with any audio processor that I know.
Binding their wrists, financiers of the flesh, burster than assaulted and given no rest. Way to make a break, it's so bay or exclude, degraded over nothing.
And now let's check the plosives.
Their wrists, financiers of the flesh, burster than assaulted and given no rest. Way to make a break, it's so bay or exclude, degraded.
And to check what it's doing overall, you can always press here, difference. And it shows you exactly what it's doing right here. So again, bypassed.
Binding their wrists, financiers of the flesh,
Engage.
Burster than assaulted and given no rest. Way to make a break, it's so bay or exclude, degraded over nothing.
Very nice. Finally, let's check Smart de-ess on Growl vocals. So let's scan our source material.
Colors of our culture run from bloody murder, wrestle with the realizing and painful infrastructure. Colors of our culture run from bloody murder, wrestle with the realizing and painful infrastructure. Colors of our culture run from bloody murder.
So growl vocals are usually pretty pokey in the lower frequency spectrum and pretty harsh also in the higher frequency spectrum. So if you can tame this at the source, your compressor is going to work much better. And in this case, the singer used a dynamic mic SM7B and he was singing pretty close to the microphone, so you could hear a lot of this transient information. So let's first see how this processor is going to work. So I use here in fast release, sibilant, I use pretty hard suppression, but it's re-injecting high frequency content with the sharp color setting. And the plosive, as you can see here, is pretty aggressive. It's at 100. So let's see what it's doing.
Colors of our culture run from bloody murder, wrestle with the realizing and painful infrastructure. Colors of our culture run from bloody murder, wrestle with the realizing and painful infrastructure.
And with the plugin Engage.
Colors of our culture run from bloody murder, wrestle with the realizing and painful infrastructure. Colors of our culture run from bloody murder, wrestle with the realizing and painful infrastructure.
So let's hear the difference in the signal. So it's handling all this stuff that's not necessarily pleasant to hear. And then after that, with EQing and compression, you're going to be able to enhance your signal. You're going to have much better control over your sound. It's insane the result you can get in such a short amount of time. And not only that, it's treating those two different things separately. So it's highly customizable. So here's my quick walkthrough of Smart de-ess by Sonible. It affected my workflow so much that now I'm readjusting my vocal chain and how I'm processing stuff in the order, because this is doing so much in one instance. So I'm blown away. I highly recommend you guys check it out. I really hope you liked the video. If you want to help out the channel, please click like, subscribe, share with your friends, and hit that notification bell. See you very soon.